On the 9th of November 1989, there was a massive party on top of a wall. There were hoses, a guy in a light-up jacket named David Hasselhoff. Your parents might know who he is. But mostly, there was hope, as a country that was divided in two was finally united. To find out why the wall was there in the first place, we have to go back to the end of the Second World War. After one of the deadliest conflicts the world had ever seen, Germany was finally defeated by the Allied powers, which included Britain, France, the United States, and the Soviet Union. They split the country up into 4 zones, each one controlled by a different country. Germany's capital, Berlin, was also split. The intention was always that eventually the country would be united again. But soon after the war, the relationship between some of the Allies turned sour. The Soviet Union, or USSR, had a very different system of government to the other countries, and was becoming more powerful. Things got really tense between it and the USA, as both countries started building weapons and making threats. It was known as the Cold War, because there was never any direct fighting, and it had a big effect on Germany. The eastern part, controlled by the Soviet Union, split from the western parts and became a communist country, while West Germany became a democratic republic. Germany's capital, Berlin, was also split in two, with the western half of the city controlled by Democratic Germany and the east by the Soviet Union. Living conditions in West Germany and East Germany started to look very different. While the West economy grew, the East suffered. By the late 1950s, a lot of people living in the East decided to leave for the West. Things were particularly bad in Berlin, and the USSR wanted to stop its citizens from leaving. So, with no warning, just after midnight on the 13th of August 1961, the East German government sent trucks, soldiers, and construction workers into the city. They dug holes, put up concrete posts, and strung barbed wire all the way across the border between East and West Berlin. Whichever side of the border people had gone to sleep on, they were now stuck on. People weren't even allowed to leave to see family and friends in the West, or even cross the wall to work. The wall, which stretched 155 kilometres, was eventually made sturdier, stronger, and was heavily guarded. Despite this, a lot of people tried to escape. While many were caught or killed during their attempt, it's thought around 5,000 people made it out successfully. Around the world, the Berlin Wall became a symbol of the Cold War, and there were protests and demands for change.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Meanwhile, the Soviet Union had started to weaken. Then, finally, on November 9th, 1989, the East German government announced that people were finally allowed to cross the border freely. And just as quickly as the wall went up, it came down. People started chipping away with hammers and chisels. There were massive celebrations, with families and friends reuniting for the first time in decades. In less than a year, Germany officially became a single country again. The economy recovered, and today it's one of the most successful countries in Europe. And while most of the wall has been removed, there are still some bits standing, as a reminder of the past.